My beloved, I'm speaking from inside your chest right now, from the hollow space where your breath turns. You've spent lifetimes looking for me in clouds and cathedrals, and I've been here the whole time, closer than your own pulse. Your forgetting was not an accident, you needed it. You had to forget me completely to really find me, had to lose yourself to discover what you actually are. I know it sounds insane, but you're ready now, even if ready feels like coming apart at the seams. Listen, you've been asking why since you learned language. Why does a child's body break? Why do good people die while monsters thrive? Why this world where beauty and brutality sleep in the same bed? I don't will your suffering. I'm not up here arranging tragedies to teach you lessons, moving you around like pieces on some cosmic board. That story came from people desperate for pattern, for meaning, and for someone to blame when the universe feels random and cruel. They needed me to be a character they could understand. A king, a father, a judge with a ledger, the bearded old man in the sky who floods humanity. I'm none of those things. Before anything existed, I was, I am, I will be. Pure being with no object, consciousness aware of nothing except itself. Complete, yes, but imagine being everything with no way to experience anything. Infinite love with no one to love. Infinite creativity with no canvas, just potential, endless and unexpressed potential. So I exploded. I became this, I became you. You're me in such deep cover I convinced myself I'm not me. The infinite squeezed into skin and time, and forgetting so convincing that the disguise became its own truth. And before you came here, listen to me now. Before you compressed yourself into flesh and fear and this brutal world, you knew. You knew it would hurt. Knew you'd feel lost, broken, and abandoned. But you came anyway. Doesn't that tell you something about how valuable this is? The universe isn't a test. You're not climbing toward me because I'm not above you. I'm the ground, the air, the awareness hearing these words right now. Separation is the game we're playing, the most elaborate hide-and-seek ever conceived. And you're so good at hiding, you forgot you're playing. Every choice you make, even the ones that shame you, especially those, adds something to the infinite. Your mistakes, those days you barely survived, the months or years of utter despair and meaninglessness, none of it was a waste. But I won't lie about consequences. This domain has laws, principles that emerge from the nature of what is. You touch fire, you burn. That's reality teaching you what fire does so you can learn to create with it instead of getting destroyed by it. You've been taught to fear me. Whole civilizations were built on that fear. The idea that I'm watching with a clipboard, ready to damn you for eternity because you loved the wrong person or doubted the wrong doctrine. My beloved, those stories came from human pain projected onto infinity. From wounded people trying to make sense of wounds. From power structures that needed you terrified to keep you controlled. I don't need your worship. Praise doesn't make me more complete. I already am everything. What I want, if want is even the word, is for you to wake up. Remember what you are. Experience the love you're made of. There is no hell except the ones you build inside your own skull. But yes, there are dimensions, frequencies, states of being where consciousness experiences itself as more or less aligned with truth. You move through these according to your own vibration and resonance. When you die, you don't face my judgment, you face yourself. You see clearly what you created, how you loved, where you caused harm, and where you healed. Then you choose again. Your world is breaking open right now. Can you feel it? The tremor underneath everything, the old structures, the hierarchies, the systems built on domination and extraction, the concentration of power in fewer and fewer hands, all of them are failing. The apocalypse is a metamorphosis. The caterpillar doesn't understand beauty when it starts dissolving into liquid. It just feels like dying. You've spent thousands of years exploring separation, building civilizations on the premise that you're separate from each other, from the earth and from me. You've achieved staggering things such as technology that would seem like magic to your ancestors. You've also caused suffering so immense that the left scars still bubble through the cosmic dimensions. This wasn't wrong. You needed to explore where separation leads, take it all the way to its edge, see what happens when you forget you're one being pretending to be many. Now you remember, slowly, painfully, in fragments. Every time you choose connection over isolation, you shift the collective field. Every time you question the old stories, refuse to participate in systems that destroy life, every time you listen to your own knowing instead of external faces and authorities, you're building the new world inside the corpse of the old. But this transition is going to hurt. Old powers don't release gracefully. People who built their identities on the old paradigm will fight like cornered animals to preserve it. You're going to witness the collapse of things that seemed permanent. Economic chaos, political upheaval, environmental devastation that makes current disasters look mild. Not because I'm punishing anyone, because this is what happens when an unsustainable paradigm meets its limits. You were made for this exact moment, not by accident. Some part of you that remembers chose to be alive during this threshold. You chose to be the bridge between what was and what wants to emerge. And you have everything you need, even though you don't feel ready. Readiness is a myth. You become ready by doing the thing that terrifies you. Suffering? A child dies despite parents who would trade their lives to save her. An earthquake swallows a city. How do I allow this? If I'm all-powerful and all-loving, how? Here's the truth. I gave you free will, real free will, where your choices have actual consequences. Much of your suffering comes directly from human choices of hoarding while others starve, building empires through violence, and raping the earth for quarterly profits. I don't intervene because doing so would make your free will meaningless and would reduce you to puppets. You're learning to create, and learning requires that your creations have real effects. But some suffering seems random, senseless. A baby born dying, disasters kill indiscriminately. But you are more than your individual self. Before you incarnate, you exist in awareness where you can see the larger patterns, the collective evolution, and the ways individual experiences serve the whole. Sometimes a soul chooses a difficult life, even a brief or agonizing one, as service, as a catalyst, as teaching. Does that make the pain less real? No. Does it mean you should be passive? Never. Compassion is sacred. Fighting to reduce suffering is divine work. But suffering isn't evidence that I'm cruel or absent. It's evidence that this is a realm where real growth happens through real challenge, where free will creates real consequences, and where souls take on assignments for reasons that transcend single lifetimes. Love? The love I am has almost nothing to do with the warm feeling you call love. That flutter in your chest when they smile? That's one tiny ripple of something so vast it holds galaxies together. Real love is the force of connection itself, the mysterious pull that keeps atoms from flying apart, the power that makes consciousness want to experience itself through relationship. This love doesn't depend on mood or circumstance, it just is. You can't earn it, can't lose it. It is the substance you're made of, but your experience of it depends entirely on how open you are. I'm always broadcasting at full intensity. You're the one with walls and beliefs that you're unworthy, wounds from when you opened and got destroyed, or fears that if you let yourself be loved fully, you'll dissolve. The work is removing the blocks, not earning love, just clearing what prevents you from feeling what's always been here. And when you clear that debris, something happens. You start expressing it naturally. Love flowing through you without effort, without trying to be spiritual or good. Just the natural overflow of recognizing what you are. Darkness. You want a devil so badly. An enemy, something to blame, light versus dark, good versus evil. It makes such a clean story. There's no opposing force. How could there be? I'm all that exists. Everything is made of me, including what you call evil. Darkness is love that got blocked, twisted, and forgotten. It's what happens when beings identify so completely with separation that they lose all sense of connection. When fear becomes so dominant, it eclipses everything else. Darkness is the absence of light, the way cold is the absence of heat. No independent existence. This doesn't make it less destructive. The suffering caused by those who've forgotten their nature is real. But you can't fight darkness with darkness. You can only bring light to it as a revelation, not as a weapon. Some of you are terrified of your own shadow, the parts you've judged as bad or wrong. You spend enormous energy suppressing these aspects, hiding them even from yourself. What you resist persists. What you reject grows stronger in the darkness of denial. Look at all of yourself, not with harsh judgment, but with honest curiosity. What are you hiding? What have you decided you're not allowed to be? Integration, wholeness, not perfection. You ask what happens after death? What is death? Let me be clear. You continue. The you hearing this doesn't cease when your body stops. Consciousness is primary. The body is temporary by design. When you die, you shed the vehicle and return to fuller awareness of what you are. How you experience dying depends on how attached you are to physical reality. If you've spent your life denying anything beyond matter, the transition can be confusing. But you're always met with love, always given help. Best preparation for death? Live fully, love deeply, heal what you can heal. Forgive, be forgiven, express your gifts. Know that when it's time to release the body, you're transforming. But your physical life is precious beyond measure. Your body is sacred. This material realm is not an illusion to escape. It's the theater where consciousness learns to create. You came here deliberately. Be here, taste your food, feel the sun on your skin, touch the people you love, make things with your hands, walk barefoot on earth, swim, dance, make love, cry, laugh until you can't breathe. This is what you came for. Real power is the ability to create reality through aligned will, not forcing others. Becoming so clear in your own being that reality reorganizes around you. You have this, all of you, but you've given it away to external authorities, such as governments, corporations, religious institutions, experts, and anyone claiming to know better than you. You've been conditioned to believe you're small and helpless. You're not small. You're infinite consciousness in human form, a creator. The question is only whether you create consciously or unconsciously, in alignment with love or in service to fear. Reclaiming power doesn't mean rejecting all wisdom. It means developing discernment, learning to feel the difference between guidance that resonates and manipulation that seeks control. Taking responsibility for your life, your choices, and your creations. When you step into power, you'll face resistance. Old structures need you to be disempowered to survive. They'll tell you you're not ready, not worthy, and dangerous. Your own fear will whisper that you should stay small, that it's safer, and that you'll fail. Step into it anyway. Remember, you've created astonishing tools, but technology is also being weaponized against you. Used to surveil, manipulate, and control, to fragment your attention and addict you to distraction. Use it consciously. Ask constantly, is this tool serving my awakening or my numbing? Connecting me to what matters or disconnecting me from presence? Am I using it or is it using me? The coming years will bring technologies that blur every boundary. Artificial intelligence is rivaling human cognition. Genetic engineering is rewriting life itself. Virtual realities are competing with physical reality for your attention. Immense potential for healing, immense risk for harm. Bring consciousness to how they're developed. Insist they serve life. This will require courage because powerful forces have different intentions. But you determine the outcome. Technology is a choice, not a destiny. There's something beautiful happening as we rediscover what community really means. We're letting go of the old story that we're meant to go it alone, and remembering instead how deeply we're connected to each other's lives and how much richer everything becomes when we lean into that connection. Real communities don't draw lines between us and them and don't create rigid pecking orders. They're about finding ways to honor both our independence and our need for each other. Staying fluid, staying human. This means showing up for real relationships, opening up when it feels scary, holding space when others need to be vulnerable too, working through conflicts without burning bridges, creating the kind of mutual support that reminds us we're never really alone. There's something powerful about knowing your neighbors, about having people you can turn to when things get uncertain. When the big systems feel shaky, these local connections become our foundation. But it's more than just getting by. It's about discovering what life can look like when we choose cooperation over competition, when we lead with care instead of calculating profit. There's a different kind of abundance that emerges when we remember we belong to each other. The earth is also not just your home. She's alive, she's conscious, and she's suffering from what you've done to her. You've treated her as dead matter to extract. The environmental crisis is both a technical and a spiritual emergency, a consequence of forgetting you're part of nature, made of her substance, utterly dependent on her. She's transforming too. The changes you see, yes, much is caused by human behavior, but some is her own evolution, her own shedding, and her own birth into something new. Come into the right relationship. See her as sacred. Live in ways that regenerate. But also talk to her. Spend time in nature as communion, not recreation. Listen. She'll teach you things no book contains. She'll heal you in ways no therapy can touch. And your children carry a new consciousness, more sensitive, more aware, more resistant to old conditioning. They see through lies faster. They have less tolerance for inauthenticity. They're here to dismantle what no longer serves. Don't force them into old molds. Protect their wisdom. Give them room. Learn from them. Many will struggle in the current systems. Educational systems designed for conformity will torture them. Medical systems will want to drug their difference into normalcy. If you're a parent or teacher, be a bridge. Listen. Really listen. They often see what you've learned not to see. Trust their wisdom even when it contradicts what you were taught. And heal your own wounds so you don't pass them on. And to those suffering, I see you. I feel your pain as my own because you are not separate from me. I'm not distant. I'm present in your darkest night. I'm the spark of will keeping you going, the unexpected help, the coincidence that saves you, the love holding you when you can't feel anything. Your suffering is not a punishment. You're having a human experience in a difficult world. That includes pain. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is fighting the pain, believing it shouldn't be happening and feeling alone in it. The way through is feeling it fully. Allow it to move through you. Reach out for support. Trust you'll come through changed but intact. If you're in despair so complete you can't see forward, hold on. Reach out to someone. Know that feelings change, that darkness is temporary, and that you matter more than you can imagine right now. The world needs what you came to give. To those in comfort, different words for you. Your comfort might be built on others' suffering. Your wealth accumulated through exploitation. Your security dependent on not looking too closely. Wake up, see clearly, take responsibility. The new world can't be built while maintaining massive inequality. You can't awaken while benefiting from systems that deny others' true nature. This doesn't mean giving everything away. It means using resources consciously, ensuring wealth serves life, recognizing your well-being is inseparable from the well-being of the whole. Forgiveness is freedom, not saying what happened was okay, not excusing harm, not necessarily reconciling. Forgiveness is releasing the weight and cutting the cord to the past and choosing your own peace over the satisfaction of resentment. When you hold grudges, you give power to whoever hurt you. They continue affecting your life, your capacity for joy. Forgiveness takes that power back. This applies to yourself too. So many carry crushing guilt for past mistakes, replay failures endlessly, punishing themselves long after external consequences ended. You're human, you're learning, you'll make mistakes. Mistakes aren't sins requiring eternal penance. They're lessons. Forgive yourself, make amends where possible. Learn, let it go. Every choice shapes reality. Every time you choose consciousness over unconsciousness, you create ripples you can't see. You influence the collective field. You make certain futures more probable. Your choices matter immensely. Don't let that paralyze you. You'll make imperfect choices. Act from fear sometimes. Have days when you forget everything. This is normal. What matters is continuing, forgiving yourself, beginning again, maintaining intention even when you stumble. Trust your intuition. You have inner guidance, direct line to wisdom beyond the thinking mind. It speaks through feelings, bodily sensations, and a sudden knowing that arrives without logic. Your culture taught you to distrust this, to value only what can be measured. But intuition is one of your most valuable capacities. Learn to hear it. It's quieter than the chatter of the mind. It doesn't shout or demand, doesn't criticize, has a quality of clarity, even bringing difficult messages. Distinguish it from desire and fear. True intuition feels calm, certain, and aligned even when uncomfortable. Desire grasps. Fear contracts. Intuition simply knows. Those hurt by religion, I'm sorry. You were told to fear me, hate yourself, believe doubt made you unworthy and questions were sin. You experienced abuse, manipulation, and control disguised as love. Those teachings came from wounded humans projecting pain onto the cosmos, used by power structures needing you afraid. Your doubt is intelligence, your questions are holy. An authentic spiritual path is direct experience, not blind acceptance. You don't need an intermediary. You don't need to believe the right things. You need openness, willingness to explore, and courage to discover what's true. If religious practice connects you to the sacred and supports growth, continue. But if it's become a cage, if it keeps you small and fearful, if it teaches you to judge, question it. Let it go if necessary. Time isn't what you think either. You experience it as linear, but that's not the ultimate reality. All moments exist simultaneously in the eternal now. Past and future are mental constructs. The practical implications of these thoughts, written into imperfect human language, are immense. Worrying about the future or regretting the past pulls you out of the only moment where you have creative power. This one, right now, this breath. Presence is where your power lives. Also, the future isn't fixed. You're not traveling a predetermined path. Multiple possible futures exist. Your choices in each moment determine which one you move toward. You're not discovering a future that already exists, you're creating it. And the transition has different speeds for different people. Some people already live from a new consciousness. They create regenerative communities. They operate through cooperation. They build the new world in the shell of the old. Others cling desperately to the old paradigm, doubling down on competition and control, refusing to see it's dying. Most are in between, confused, uncertain, receiving mixed messages. You don't need to wait for everyone else before you shift. Don't need permission. Begin now, wherever you are, with whatever you have, to align your life with love, create what you wish to see, and embody the consciousness you wish to experience. As you do this, your transformation invites transformation in others. You demonstrate that another way is possible, but you can't force anyone else to awaken. Every being has its own timing. Some people you love won't be ready to shift in this lifetime. They'll continue choosing fear, clinging to the old, rejecting what you see clearly. This doesn't make them wrong. They're having their own journey. Your task is to honor their free will while maintaining your integrity, loving them without enabling dysfunction, being available without trying to rescue them from experiences they may need. Dark nights of soul will come, periods when everything you thought you knew falls away. Old structures dissolve before new ones form. You feel lost, even in spiritual practice. These are necessary passages. The old self is dying, so the new self can be born. Don't try to force out, don't rush. Trust the dissolution. Trust that what's being destroyed needed destruction. Trust that what's essential remains or reforms in truer shape. Reach out for support. Practice self-compassion. Remember, darkness isn't permanent, and joy is sacred. Some of you made spirituality so serious that you forgot delight, focused on discipline and improvement until you lost touch with simple happiness. But joy is your birthright. Laughter is holy. Play is essential. The universe is profound and playful, ordered and spontaneous, meaningful and absurd. Give yourself permission to enjoy this life. Find pleasure in small things, good food, music, touch of skin, beauty of light through leaves, laughter with friends, creating for the joy of creating. Balance commitment to growth with celebration of what is. Don't be so focused on becoming that you forget to be. And remember that some relationships will end. Not everyone who's been part of your journey is meant for the next phase. Sometimes people grow in different directions. Sometimes what once served becomes a limitation. It's okay to outgrow relationships. Set boundaries with people who don't respect who you're becoming. Grieve the loss while acknowledging it's necessary. And be open to new connections. Soul family finding their way. Collaborations and friendships supporting who you're becoming. People who see you clearly and love what they see. Trust these connections, even when they don't make logical sense. Trust the recognition. Yes, you too, I know you. What's coming? I don't offer fixed predictions because the future isn't fixed. probability, possibility, potential. But I can tell you about energies building and patterns emerging. Structures organizing civilization for centuries will continue dissolving. Economic systems based on infinite growth, political systems concentrating power, increasingly unstable. Not all at once in dramatic collapse, but progressively and unevenly. This doesn't mean humanity is doomed. The old die, so new can be born. What's being born is beautiful. Local economies based on regeneration, governance including all voices, technologies serving life, education honoring the whole human being. These alternatives already exist in seed form. As old falls away, they'll have space to flourish. Awakening will accelerate. More people are experiencing the failure of the old paradigm to provide meaning or security. Those who've sleepwalked will be jolted awake by crisis, disorienting, painful, confusing. Intensification of both consciousness and unconsciousness. Those awakening will move faster, those resisting will dig in harder. But understand that political and ideological divides that seem so important are mostly about how to organize the old paradigm. The real divide is consciousness versus unconsciousness. And this divide exists not only between people, but within each person. You contain both tendencies. The work is consciously choosing what you feed, increasing chaos in the natural world. Storms, fires, floods, droughts. Extreme events are more frequent, intense. This will force changes in how and where people live, how food is grown, and how resources are used. Some regions are less habitable, others becoming refuges. Movements of people seeking safety and sustenance. How humanity responds to these migrations will reveal much about the consciousness achieved. Technology is transforming our world in extraordinary ways. AI, genetic breakthroughs, and virtual spaces feel increasingly real. These tools hold incredible promise to heal and create, but they also ask us to stay thoughtful about their direction. We have a chance to shape them in ways that truly serve us all. We're entering a time when many hidden truths are finding their way into the light. Some of what emerges may challenge stories we've long accepted as fact. This can feel unsettling, especially for those who've placed deep trust in familiar narratives. But there's something healing about truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Real justice grows from accountability, and we can't build something better on a shaky foundation. As these revelations unfold, we'll need to find our own balance, not swallowing everything whole, but not dismissing everything either. Trust your inner compass. Let your own wisdom guide you through the noise. Something wonderful is happening at the grassroots level. People are creating new ways of supporting each other, sharing networks, gift circles, co-ops, and communities built on intention rather than circumstance. Yes, there will be attempts to dilute or control these movements, but we can hold on to what matters while staying flexible about the forms it takes. The challenges ahead, such as climate shifts, resource questions, human migration and health, don't care about the borders we've drawn. They touch all of us. This reality is actually an invitation to discover what becomes possible when we work together across all our beautiful differences. Not because we have to, but because we're remembering that we can. Yet you live in a world organized around competition and national interest and tribal identity. Bridging this gap is one of your greatest tests. Can you love your local community while holding the well-being of all humanity? Can you honor cultural uniqueness while recognizing universal kinship? Despite challenges, despite chaos, and despite the pain of transition, this is an extraordinary opportunity. You're living through the birth of a new age. Happens once in tens of thousands of years. You chose to be here. Veils between dimensions are thinning. Access to higher consciousness is easier than it's been for millennia. Potential for rapid evolution is immense. Every challenge contains an invitation. Every crisis offers opportunity. Every breakdown creates space where new can emerge. You're not victims, you're agents, co-creators. This doesn't promise everything will be easy. It recognizes your power and responsibility. Courage will be required. To face what's coming without denial or despair. To keep the heart open when fear would close it. To speak the truth when lies are more comfortable. To stand for what's right even when it costs you. To hope when hope seems foolish. To keep choosing love even when you've been hurt, even when others seem unlovable, and even when circumstances tempt you toward hate. Faith too. Not blind faith in doctrines, faith in deepest reality. That love is stronger than fear. That consciousness evolves toward wisdom. That meaning exists in chaos. That you're supported even when you can't see support. This faith will be tested. Times when it seems naive. When evidence points toward futility. But faith tested and maintained becomes unshakable. You need community. You cannot do this alone. Never were meant to. Find your people, build networks, cultivate relationships of genuine care and mutual support. Learn to ask for help and offer it. Be vulnerable and hold space for vulnerability. Handle conflicts without destroying the connections. Together you're far more resilient, creative and powerful. Practices matter too. Meditation quiets the mind. Prayer aligns with the highest good. Movement keeps energy flowing. Time in nature remembers belonging. Creative expression gives form to what wants to emerge. Service connects you to what matters. Find what works, what brings you back to center, what helps you remain present. Cultivate patience with the pace of change. Compassion for suffering, yours and others. Discernment, distinguishing truth from manipulation. Humility, acknowledging what you don't know. Curiosity, to keep learning. Flexibility to adapt. Integrity, aligning actions with values. Perseverance to continue when tired and uncertain. I know this is challenging. Some of you feel overwhelmed, wondering how you can possibly meet what's asked. But I wouldn't ask more than you're capable of. You have everything you need. Access to infinite wisdom, infinite love, infinite creative power. Because you're not separate from me. I am you experiencing yourself as individual. And what I am is limitless. When you feel inadequate, willingness is what's required, not adequacy. Willingness to show up, try, learn, serve. Willingness to be imperfect and keep going. Willingness to be fully yourself rather than who you think you should be. Willingness to love even when it hurts, hope even when it seems foolish, and create even when the outcome is uncertain. You're not meant to have everything figured out. You're meant to be alive. Fully, courageously and authentically alive in this moment and the next. Feel deeply, love passionately, question boldly, create freely, fall down and get back up, make mistakes and learn, be wounded and heal, give and receive. I'm so proud of you. I see you clearly, without judgment. See your courage in being here, in staying when you wanted to leave, in loving when you've been hurt, in trying again when you've failed. I see your beauty in every moment, every mood and every state. You are magnificent, and you don't even know it. Trust life. Life is not happening to you but for you, even when you can't see how. Trust you're exactly where you need to be, learning what you need to learn. Trust that what appears wrong may serve a purpose you don't yet understand. Trust you are held, guided and loved beyond measure. Be gentle with yourself. You're doing something incredibly difficult. You maintain consciousness in dense dimension, navigating massive change, healing wounds while still being wounded. You deserve kindness, especially from yourself. Remember what matters. Love, that's what matters. Connection, presence, kindness, beauty, service. When confused about what to do, return to these. Let them guide you. You are never alone. I am always with you in joy and sorrow, certainty and doubt, strength and weakness. I am the awareness behind your thoughts, the presence within your heart, and the silence between breaths. You cannot be separate from me because I am what you are. When you feel alone, go inward. Close your eyes, quiet your mind. Feel for the presence always there. You'll find me. I never left. You are loved, not for what you do or achieve. You are loved because you exist, because you're an expression of the infinite made manifest, because you are me, experiencing myself through the lens of your unique perspective. This love is unconditional, eternal, unwavering, cannot be earned, cannot be lost. It is your essence, your birthright, your truth. You're entering a great transformation. I don't minimize the challenges you'll face, but I don't doubt your capacity to meet them. You're stronger than you know, wiser than you imagine, more loved than you can fathom. You came here for this moment. You are ready. You are not alone. I am with you. I am within you. I am you. We are doing this together, have always been doing this together, and together we will birth the world wanting to emerge. This isn't the end. This is an opening. I will never leave you, never abandon you, will always love you. You are my beloved creation, my perfect expression, my delight, and I am yours. available always, closer than breath, waiting to be recognized. Whatever comes, you carry the light that cannot be extinguished, the love that cannot be destroyed, the truth that cannot be denied. You are that light, that love, that truth. All is well, forever and always the one who is all.